Yay Networks.
Welcome back, everyone.
We're back.
It's been a better week.
It has been.
I feel like, it would have had to been real rough for it to be worse than last week.
Yeah, one of us would have to be in the hospital for it to be worse. So
Hannah's no longer with us.
yeah.
No, we've had a much better week.
Yes, we have.
Today we have a fun episode for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be telling the story of the time we looked Dr. Phil in his cold, dead eyes, and we said to him, "Not today, sir.
Well,
Not on our watch."
that's not exactly what happened.
Metaphorically, of course.
But we'll tell you the story. It's the 4-year anniversary of this infamous Dr. Phil interaction.
One of our biggest moments on YouTube.
Yeah.
A formative moment for us.
And one of our first moments on YouTube.
And hopefully a formative moment for Dr. Phil as well.
I don't think it was.
But before we get into that, we have a little warm-up today.
We do.
And Hannah, you might be dreading it. Are you?
I am. I'm dreading it a little bit. I don't like stuff like this. Shane found a game, I guess you could call it,
It's a game.
on some improv site, and I already, I'm checked out. Like,
I was like, Hannah, I have an improv. She was like, no.
no, immediate no from me. I'll just read you the rules. He copy and pasted these. The structure of this game is simple. One player makes a statement starting with "fortunately." Example, "Fortunately, I got the accounting job I applied for." And the next improviser continues the narrative with an "unfortunately" statement. Example, "Unfortunately, the job is in Antarctica." This cycle of "fortunately, unfortunately" continues until the story reaches some kind of resolution.
I thought that this was a silly and wonderful way for you and I to warm up our comedic chops before we dive into our comedic podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm big on improv. Hannah is not.
Yes, you are.
So
It's my least favorite thing maybe in the entire world.
Fortunately, unfortunately.
Oh boy.
Here we go. Do you want to begin or do you want me to begin?
I want you to begin, but I feel like you'll be better at the "unfortunately."
We'll take a few turns.
Okay.
You know, we can see what works best.
Okay.
Fortunately, the view from the very top of this skyscraper is absolutely breathtaking.
See, this is why I hate improv. What am I supposed to say? Unfortunately, the elevator to get back down is broken.
Fortunately, it's leg day. So I'm going to get my workout in, going down 498 flights of stairs.
You can't. Okay. Unfortunately, you fall after one flight and you twist your ankle.
Fortunately, a kind man who also lives on the top floor offers to carry my aging body down the entire building
Aw.
to safely deliver me to ground zero.
Unfortunately, little do you know, but he is a wanted kidnapper.
Fortunately, I don't fit his typical victim. And so he chooses not to kidnap me.
Wait, which one am I? I'm
You're
unfortunately.
unfortunate.
Okay, I already forgot. I couldn't remember. We're on kidnapping. It's hard to tell. Unfortunately, one of his best friends is looking for someone exactly like you. So he calls him up.
This kidnapper
He has a friend who's also a kidnapper.
calls up his friend and says, "Hey, got a perfect victim here for you.
Yes.
He's injured."
Uh-huh. Yeah. He's not doing this out of the kind of his heart. He's,
Fortunately,
okay.
his kidnapper friend does not answer the call.
Okay. Unfortunately, the building collapses as you reach the bottom floor. You're trapped in the rubble. The end.
Wow. Okay,
I resolved it.
there, that story's over. Your turn to begin.
Wait, so I begin with "fortunately"?
Yeah. Yes, and how much are you enjoying this game?
I hate this game.
You did not have fun. This doesn't feel like a
No.
warm-up for you.
It's not.
This
I'm
feels
just
like-
distressed the whole time.
This feels like a test.
This is like everything that I hated about first day of school or camp.
What?
You know, where you would like, they
No,
would
no,
just
you need to elaborate on that one.
They would play games like icebreakers. They'd be like, we're all going to go around, say one word of the story. No, I
Maybe we should dig into that a little bit more.
No, I don't.
Why?
I don't think that's very weird. I think a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I don't like these kinds of games.
Yeah.
I don't know why you do.
I just like being random.
Yeah, and I do not.
No.
Like,
You
that's
want to have the
so
perfect,
stressful.
the most perfect response.
Which is impossible
possible.
in these games, so I just hate them. They make me actually physically uncomfortable.
Round 2.
Okay. Fortunately, we found a great parking spot at the grocery store.
Unfortunately, as we enter the grocery store, we find that today is Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and children are running rampant throughout the aisles.
How can I do a fortunately from there?
Yeah, in real life you would leave.
I'm leaving the grocery store at this point. Fortunately, we only need a few items, so we're going to try to make it quick.
Unfortunately, they've changed the way that they've laid out the store. There's milk where the bread's supposed to be. There's sushi where the alcohol was. We have no idea where anything is. And the longer we remain in this store, children screaming, coughing, throwing up on the floors, we know that we are going to get closer to a legitimate mental breakdown.
Shane, you went on way too long there. I think there are rules and constraints.
There are no rules in improv.
You can't use, semicolons and commas and endless run-on sentences.
Your turn.
Okay, so we're at mental breakdown. Okay, fortunately, there's a very nice employee and his 7 children that want to help us find our items.
Unfortunately, one of the children is missing. And so in order for them to help us, we need to help them. We live in a give and take society.
That was a period.
Everything is
No.
transactional. The end.
Oh my God.
And because I think that after this podcast episode, Hannah is going to ask me to leave the home for the day because of this game.
Or I'll just leave.
I think we're going to call it wraps right there.
Thank you so much. That was a waste of time. I don't think anyone enjoyed it.
I feel like I'm warmed up. I'm ready to go now.
That's great. That's so great. This will help you tell the Dr. Phil story?
I did, yeah. I feel like I've gotten all my kind of my sleepies out.
And I feel tired
And
and
now
exhausted.
you're done. Hannah's going to take a nap, and then we'll be right back to tell you about our ridiculous and weird experience with none other than the Dr. Phil.
Wow.
And we are back. Hannah, how was your nap?
It was great. I feel so refreshed from that horrible game.
I'm sorry I made you play.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You knew I would hate it and you did it anyway.
Next week, we'll be playing another improv game.
That should be one of our things, is that you force me to play horrible games.
See how annoyed I can get you
Yeah.
at the start of every episode? That would be great.
I feel like they could get a lot worse than the fortunately, unfortunately one for me.
I scoured improv games and I was like, nope, she'll hate that. She'll hate that. They were like, someone call out an animal, act out that animal with your body and mouth.
God.
Yeah, you're not. Mm-mm.
I could do the animal one.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Elephant. Okay, so maybe physical improv.
I could do
is
physical.
more in your
Give me
wheelhouse.
like rat.
Everyone,
You can't do it. All right,
we're
monkey.
canceling the Dr. Phil story.
Monkey.
I can't move my arms. So physical humor is really not for me.
Snake. Do snake.
Slithering.
No, you can't just say the word.
If I'm going to do snake, I'm going to do it like the snakes
Harry
in
Potter.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, this is not how I
This
thought
is so
this
uncomfortable. I feel
segment
so
would
bad
begin.
for everybody watching. So sorry. All right, back to Dr. Phil.
No, hold on. A new idea for our podcast.
No.
While we are in other segments, like Hannah's telling a story about her childhood,
Yeah.
at any given moment, I should yell out an animal.
Wow.
And you have to pause and transition into that animal.
We can make it as uncomfortable as possible.
We'll see if
We're
it
telling a
happens.
really emotional story. Gorilla.
And that was when my mom said she never wanted to speak to me. Don't.
All right.
All right, Dr. Phil.
We're done. to Dr. Phil. So this is, like we said, 4 years ago since this happened. It just recently came up on my Instagram archive, memories.
Yeah.
I could not believe it was 4 years ago.
I can't either. That feels wild that
Yeah.
that much time has passed.
Yep.
And the thing is like, when this happened, it was one of the biggest things that ever happened to us on our YouTube channel, but also kind of in life together.
Yeah.
But our channel, compared to now, was relatively small.
Yeah.
So I think that like most people watching today might not know about this Dr. Phil saga.
I know. I mean, that video that we posted of like, we said no to Dr. Phil.
Yeah, that was the title. We said no to Dr. Phil.
We said no to Dr. Phil. That did really well. It has 1 million or 2 million views. So people might have, gone back and seen it. But at the time, we only had like 200,000 subscribers,
Yes.
maybe.
This
probably.
was a few months after our channel really blew up
Yeah.
for the first time.
Yeah. We went from like 4,000 subscribers to 100,000. And I think by March, we were at like 200,000.
Do you remember those days when like every morning we would wake up and be like 5,000 new subscribers? Oh my God.
We could not believe it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was just a period of
Yeah.
complete like, how is this happening?
And it was the biggest change in our life. Like even now, that was still the biggest
Yeah.
period of change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Crazy. All right. So in March of 2019,
Dolphin.
which, what is a doll?
There we go. Go ahead. Resume.
Do they do that?
That sounded like a monkey, but go
I know,
ahead.
but don't they make it sound like that?
I don't know.
Anyway, 2019, which I cannot believe 2019 was 4 years ago, but
29. Wow. 20, wow, my brain's had a
you short circuited. You couldn't believe it.
29. No, I was going to say 2019 is last year in my memory.
Last year, literally last year. We got an email from the Dr. Phil show from one of their producers inviting us to be on an episode.
Pause. At reading the first sentence,
Yes.
both of us were like over the moon.
This
like,
had never happened to us.
Screaming
Yeah.
in our little apartment. We were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil, national television.
Yeah.
What the heck is happening?
We could not believe it because we had gone from nothing to like Dr. Phil was emailing us being like, want to be on the show. This was our first big media thing. We could not believe it. So we get this email and basically it says, we have this episode in mind. We have a couple coming onto the show and he has a disability. We can get into like the specifics of this. And they're having were they married? I don't know. They're having relationship problems. And we want to bring you guys on as kind of like a mentor to give advice about how you guys make it work. And we were like, that's an interesting concept. We would need some more information. And they were like, let's do a phone call about it.
Even that, I remember, was like a real TV producer is calling us to discuss our episode of Dr. Phil.
I know.
I had never watched Dr. Phil in my life.
Yeah.
And yet, everyone knows the name.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is big.
It was big.
This is big time.
It felt huge.
So I think that same night, which also made it feel very...
Well, it was very time sensitive. It was like, this is filming this week.
Yeah, they were like, we need to do like tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we got on the phone with one of the producers, and she went through their thoughts for this episode.
Yeah.
Can you walk through that? Because my memory, anything beyond like a year ago, I have no memory of.
I know.
But-
So true. Yeah. So on the phone, she told us more details. And I obviously don't remember verbatim what she said. But she was talking about their issues and
The
couple's issues. And it seemed like much more than disability related advice that we could give.
Right.
It was like, borderline abusive dynamics in this relationship.
This was a couple that had some serious
Yeah.
relationship problems.
Yes. And so we said, like, we don't feel comfortable giving advice about that. Like, we have never dealt with violence or like, that anger, like verbal abuse. Like we have never dealt with anything like that. And so we would not be the people to give advice about that. We could be like, this is how we handle caregiving and stuff. But that was not the issue in this relationship.
No, and it really seemed, the more we heard what they had to say over the phone,
Yeah.
it seemed like the show was going to position this man's disability and the caregiving aspect of their relationship as the problem
Yeah.
in their relationship. And then we would be brought on to show them how
Yeah.
we make it work, like why they were wrong for
Yeah.
having those problems. But like the problems were not the disability or the caregiving; they were like personality
Yeah.
clashes and like Hannah said, like borderline abusive behavior on either side.
Yeah.
Just like areas of life that Hannah and I had no authority to be giving like
Yeah.
advice about.
And I remember it did seem like we were going to be on to be like, look, it is possible. And I remember saying to the producer, like, that just feels rude to be like, you guys can't do it, but they can. Like, and we didn't have anything else to give besides like, we don't have those issues.
Right.
And that's not helpful.
So we got off the phone. We left it at like, we'll talk about it and get back to you.
Yeah.
And I think our excitement had deflated a bit by
Yes.
that point.
Yeah.
Because also at this moment in our YouTube career, we were really trying to figure out what our message about disability should be.
Yeah.
Like how to handle that for our audience.
Yeah.
And we wanted our story to be an example of disability not being a negative thing.
Yeah.
And that, living with a disability can be a great thing and that it does not negatively impact our life and our relationship together.
Yeah.
We knew that if we went on this show, we would not have very much control over that message.
That was the main thing. I remember talking to our family members.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think my brother was like, do not go on that show.
He was like, no way.
He was like, that, and we obviously hadn't watched Dr. Phil a lot, like we said, but I had seen at least like some clips of it, and we knew that it was not going to be a fair representation. We worried about that. And all of our parents were like, I don't think that you should do this, even though they were excited initially.
Exactly. Like on the other side of it, we were like, well, we can try our best.
Yeah.
And it would definitely help more people discover our channel.
Yeah.
And then we could, help educate and entertain them.
Yeah.
Oh, it was such a hard decision.
It was a really hard decision. Ultimately, we decided not to do it, both because of that decision. We just came down on the side of, if we don't have control over the narrative, this is a bad idea.
Right.
And it was like a very last minute thing, and it was a flight, and we had never flown together before. Like, it was just a difficult thing to make happen anyway. And so it just didn't seem worth it to go to all this trouble and then to have an episode come out that we're, horrified by.
And boy, oh boy, did we make the right decision. A few weeks later,
Yeah.
that episode came out. They ended up finding other people to be involved.
I remember they found another couple, and I remember exactly what that couple said.
Talk about it, because I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Show her.
This episode comes out. It was a man with a spinal cord injury who was obviously dealing with some mental health issues. And I remember he and his girlfriend or partner lived in a more rural area, because I remember Dr. Phil made a huge deal about where they lived.
Right.
Or maybe it was the producer did on the call.
I can't quite remember.
I just
But
remember
I know they lived in an area where like services,
Yeah.
were not really readily available.
Yeah.
So it was his partner handling like his mental health issues alone.
Exactly. And they were fighting a lot, all of this stuff. And they had this other couple on that were the stand-ins for us, who I remember the woman saying, it was her husband had a disability. I think it was another spinal cord injury. And she said like she would never, ever do his care, because then she would be not his wife, but his nurse.
Yep.
And then that's not possible. And then Dr. Phil's entire thing was that caregiving, he said that he has seen 100 relationships like this, which is a blatant lie.
Right. 100 relationships where
Caregiving.
a partner is physically caregiving for a disabled partner.
Yes, he said he had seen 100, and 100 out of 100 of them had failed because of the caregiving.
All of them.
Every single one.
This became Dr. Phil's message for the couple was that,
it was the caregiving.
obviously you're struggling because he's disabled and you're trying to do his care as his partner.
So I'm just curious, if we had gone on, would he have said that to us, that we were going to fail?
We would have just said, no, like, Hannah's my caregiver, and that works.
And he probably would have said, you've only been dating for 2 years, you're going to fail.
That's a very valid point.
Like, I think he would have been nasty and rude
that
because
may
he
have
is
been
nasty
used
and
against
rude.
us, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was nasty and rude, too.
Yeah.
The couple.
He's always nasty and rude.
That was having issues, it was situated as like, obviously you're having all these problems.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be a caregiver to a loved one.
Yeah, which is such unhelpful advice. I don't think they were looking for that advice. That is the easiest path out, is like, we're fighting, let's just not do this anymore. You know, like, why would you go on a TV show for someone to tell you it's the caregiving? Because that is what everybody says already. Like, that's not an amazing insight, Dr. Phil. Like, you could have given some insight into how to make a relationship work that isn't just like, don't do it that way.
Right. And so around this time, we were talking to lots of people in the disability community about this episode.
And there was a lot of outrage about it.
There was a lot of outrage. There was a hashtag that got started, hashtag 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
And it was used by interabled couples like us, sharing examples of good relationships that involve disability.
Yeah, you can probably still, I don't know if there's other posts with that hashtag, but it was amazing looking through all, like, hundreds of couples posted photos with that hashtag on Instagram.
And we put our video out that was We Said No to Dr. Phil to shine light on this whole saga and this episode, and that, like, took the hashtag even further.
Yeah.
And it was a formative moment for our handling of the message about disability.
Yeah.
Like, we learned so much from saying no, even though it really was hard to in the moment.
I know. And I also, just one more thing for the story, that couple reached out to us afterwards.
Oh, I forgot they did.
Yeah. And they were really nice. They were like, we watched your video and we totally understand what you were saying. Like, we didn't expect that to be what the show was about.
Yeah, they were upset with how even their story was handled on the show.
Yeah. So that was our Dr. Phil experience.
That was our Dr. And I have to believe that as our video got, millions of views, someone sent that to Dr. Phil.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure his producer was waiting for our video to come out.
So, Dr. Phil, if you've ever been watching our channel, if you're watching today,
I don't think he's a continued fan.
I hope that you've learned your lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that you realize that not all relationships that involve caregiving will fail.
Yeah.
And that there are lots of interracial couples who make it work.
Yep.
Aw.
That's nice.
Nice little bow tie on our story.
Aw. Now on to another segment that you've prepared.
We have another game.
Wow.
And one that we've played before and that you actually enjoy.
I do enjoy this.
This is
just judging something. So.
Judging someone, which Hannah's very good at. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with Am I the Asshole? And we are back, and it is now time to play one of our favorite games here at Junkyard Mayhem, Am I the Asshole? This is not about me. This is a game where people on the website Reddit write in stories from their lives trying to figure out if something that they did makes them an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And other people comment and weigh in on it. We're doing it here for you. We're going to read one of the stories that we found. Then Hannah and I are going to debate whether the subject is an asshole.
Oh, boy.
I tried to pick one where it's not like
Not
overtly obvious. So many that get posted are like, I told my mom to screw herself. I threw a vase at her head. Am I the asshole? It's like, yeah, sounds like it. But I tried to pick one that had a bit more gray area.
Oh, boy. Okay, so I'm just going to give the ages here. So this guy is 29, and he has a wife who's 26. My wife is pregnant, and as such, we have been seeing an obstetrician who is a 41-year-old guy. He is a really imposing guy, both physically, very tall and fit, and in terms of personality. He has had a really hostile and condescending attitude towards me since we first met for apparently no reason. The first time we were there, my wife was carrying a big purse, and as soon as we went inside, he started questioning me for not carrying it myself and let my pregnant wife do that effort. I was surprised by that and don't like confrontation, so I just took the purse myself and apologized to my wife. The issue is that things have only gotten worse since then. Whenever he has to explain medical things to me, he talks in a really belittling way as if I was a little kid. He acts frustrated and derisive anytime I ask something, making me feel like an idiot. He does not talk like that to my wife, and she explains that it is because of her being a nurse and the doctor then knowing she is more knowledgeable than me with that kind of medical stuff. He also calls me by my last name, but not in a respectful manner, just in a weird and cold way, while calling my wife Lily. My wife seems to really like him. He always gives her compliments about how she looks and congratulates her for being so great at everything related to the pregnancy. I told my wife I wanted us to leave him and go to a different doctor, but she is refusing. She says that changing would be stressful to her and that she doesn't have any problem with him. She argues that how she feels should be the only thing that matters because she is the pregnant one, but I think that is a little unfair. We've been in conflict about this, and it is even harder than a normal argument because the pregnancy makes her so emotional and irrational. Am I the asshole? Well,
Hannah has
may
thoughts.
I begin?
Hannah wants to dive in.
I have a couple of thoughts. I would just like to point out a couple of things that this person said. He seems a little bit biased by the fact that he described that the doctor is very tall and fit. Then
That was a weird thing to throw in there. You know, just his condescending nature is one thing, and I think that's valid to be upset about. I'll get to my thoughts in a sec, but
yeah.
I agree. Just throwing it in there, like he's really tall and big.
Yeah, and then saying that his wife is emotional and irrational.
Mhm.
Those were the two things that stuck out to me as this makes this guy an unreliable narrator.
Ooh.
And I now don't believe his side of the
All
story.
right, so Hannah's not even doing "Am I the asshole?" Hannah's debunking the whole,
I'm just saying.
the whole nature of things.
I'm
here.
just saying, well, now I feel like, you know, if you're saying that your wife is irrational and this guy's really attractive and the last name thing, I don't think is weird. I honestly don't think it's that weird for a guy to call a guy a last name. This guy, the doctor kind of seems like an asshole to me just with the purse thing, you know, like that a woman can't carry a purse.
Right.
But I feel like that guy who would say that and then like complimenting her on how she looks, A, I'm not sure I believe that he did that, but B, if he did, it fits with this doctor being a very masculine, like hyper masculine. You know, the woman can't carry the bag. Make sure you say that she looks nice. Call her by her first name, but call a man by his last name. Like that all makes sense to me. That doesn't seem like a different,
A bad
like a
thing?
weird. Yeah, I just feel like that's to be expected from this guy.
Right,
And that
but
doesn't mean you should switch doctors if your wife likes him.
I don't know how I feel yet. I'm gonna work through it in real time.
Yeah.
If we take, because you were saying, you know, he's already unreliable.
Yeah.
Let's take his words at face value as truth.
Yeah, but I can't say, like, so you're saying that she's irrational?
Let's throw away that line. Saying that is being an asshole. But all that, put that aside.
I can't.
If the doctor really is belittling and condescending to the husband every time they interact, and overtly really, really nice to the wife, and the man's feeling very uncomfortable about that, I think he does have some say in if they should see another doctor. Not that he gets to dictate it, certainly. It's as with all things, I think the two of them should come to an agreement and
Yeah, but
compromise or
what's the
whatever.
compromise? If she likes the doctor and doesn't want to switch,
I don't know, maybe have a discussion with the doctor and be like, why are you talking to my husband like he's a 3-year-old?
why doesn't the husband do that?
He can too.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe that's the outcome.
He doesn't like confrontation, so he just apologized for the purse and then he says, I want to switch doctors. Maybe your wife would appreciate it if you were a little bit more forward.
Stand up a little bit for yourself.
Yeah, be like,
But does
can you
that
not
make him
speak to me that way?
But does it make him an asshole? That's what we need to decide here.
To want to switch doctors?
Yes. Is he an asshole? And he's not forcing her. If he was forcing her, yeah, asshole. But
Well, I just don't understand. So the question is, am I an asshole for wanting to switch doctors?
that's what
No.
he's asking.
But that's not am I an asshole for wanting a cupcake for breakfast? What the hell does that mean?
Mhm.
No. It seems like he's saying am I the asshole if I continue that he's saying that I'm just trying to read what is the question?
I think he's genuinely we're arguing a lot about this. And she clearly,
Yeah, she says
like-
changing would be stressful. She argues that how she feels should be the only thing that matters, and he thinks it's unfair.
yeah, and I
Am I
think
the
she's
asshole?
wondering, like, are my feelings even valid? Or, like, do I have a leg to stand on here? I shouldn't use that phrase.
Okay. Well, your feelings are valid. Feelings are always valid.
Oh.
But that doesn't mean that you can like
But isn't-
change other people's lives based on your feelings.
So it's not an asshole impulse to feel like, oh, I want to change doctors.
No.
But if he begins, well, then, but he's still arguing about it. You know?
I know.
Like, he's still arguing with his wife. Does that make him an asshole?
It depends on how much. Yeah, I think so. If this is like every appointment, he's saying, I want to switch doctors.
But remember,
Stop going to the appointments then. Like, I don't
that's the other thing. Is like, why do you keep putting yourself
Yeah.
in that? Is that
Probably
normal?
because it's normal to go together.
Okay.
But I think it's probably because he thinks that his wife is going to leave him for this doctor, which is what I believe this entire thing is coming down to, is that he is interpreting everything as like,
Yeah.
and he's probably very unfriendly to the doctor. When he saw a really tall, really fit guy, he was probably like, that's my competition. He was probably rude and standoffish, and now the doctor doesn't like you.
Okay.
That's my guess.
I have a thought experiment for us.
Okay.
I attend a fair number of medical appointments.
Uh-huh.
You come to all of them with me.
Oh.
Let's say I have a new pulmonologist,
Yeah.
as I do. And that pulmonologist
Now I'm about to eat my words.
is super friendly to me.
And she's a
She is also
very fit.
she's fit, she's good looking,
Okay.
and she laughs at all my jokes. She always compliments me. But to you, she's extremely rude, standoffish, won't even look at you, like, kind of talks down to you when she explains things to you. And you tell me that you don't think we should see that doctor anymore. I am like, no, I really like that doctor, and I want to keep going there, and you're actually being rude for not supporting me.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Okay. Here's what I think.
Is Hannah the asshole?
I'm looking at this purse thing again. I'm going back to him. Okay.
No, let's do this.
No. I want to just talk about the purse thing, because what I was thinking about while you were saying that is, like, if we walked in and the doctor said something to me like, why aren't you doing this for him?
Right.
Which would make sense. Like, if she was like, why didn't you hold the door? You know, something like that. And like force me to apologize to you. I would find it appalling if you wouldn't say something about that. Like, if you didn't stick up for me. So now I'm looking at this and I'm like, the purse thing, if she didn't say like, no, I'm going to carry my own purse, I do find that rude of her.
Maybe that's how the guy's feeling.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, why won't you tell this doctor to be nicer to me?
I know. Yeah, if you were just like letting this happen, I think I would be like, Shane, you're supposed to be on my side. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
I'm changing my tune.
You're changing your tune.
I always feel like these, with these, that you don't have enough information. Like,
Yeah.
I obviously want the wife's side and stuff. So I find it, for me, very difficult
It's hard for you to just take this
to like
very brief amount of information.
and come to a conclusion. But I do think that it's weird that she would not care that he's uncomfortable.
I do get, though, like, her side is that, switching doctors is annoying.
It is.
And especially in the middle of a pregnancy.
I wouldn't switch.
Like,
but
that
I
would be a lot. And she definitely has a very valid reason to want to stay there.
Yeah.
But she needs to, maybe she is. Maybe he's not giving us all this info. But she needs to give him a little bit more validation for what he's experiencing. Because that's not fun either.
Yeah. I agree.
No one's the asshole. That's a valid answer here, I think.
Yeah.
No one's the asshole. They're just in a very tough situation.
Yeah.
And I think they need to talk to each other about how to handle this
Yeah.
in a productive and constructive way.
I will say, though, now that you put it in terms of like me going to the doctor, now I'm like, he's not an asshole.
You would be like,
that would be
Shane,
so
we are
mean.
never going back there again.
Yeah, that would be so mean if your doctor was really mean to me.
And I was like, no, we're going there. You have to come with me.
At least, like, this is only a doctor that you see first while you're pregnant, So it's
Yeah.
not like your pulmonologist might be for life. So I think I would be a little bit more justified.
And then we start getting invited over to barbecues at the pulmonologist's house.
No.
I start playing video games routinely with them.
You go out to dinner with her.
Yeah.
You move in.
Yeah. Are you the asshole? Well, that was fun. That was a good one. There was
I like that game.
some nuance to that one.
Yeah, let us know how you feel about that. If you think we were right or wrong.
Give us your thoughts.
Yeah.
We would love to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everyone.
That's our episode for the day.
That was Mayhem, episode 21, I believe.
Wow.
Maybe? Can't remember.
Okay.
We're coming up
Don't say it if you don't know.
We are speeding towards 100 episodes.
Oh, well, in a bit.
We are rocketing towards 1,000.
Yeah, please like our episode, comment, share, rate it, give us 5 stars, our podcast.
Yes, thank you, Hannah, for
all that stuff. I was just going to
plug.
speed this along. I felt like you were going to go on and on.
And remember, everyone, it is a junkyard out there. Yes, that is Dr. Phil rolling around in the filth. He does this at least once a week. We don't know what he gets out of it, but he seems to enjoy it. So just ignore him.